Hello and welcome to this video. If you want to learn Warhammer 40k from playing the games or from a complete beginner, then this is the guide for you. Now let's go over some of the basics. You'll need to tape measure because all measurements are done in inches. You'll need some dice as all test results use them. One rule to bear in mind is if something asks you for a d6, you roll the dice and use that result. And if it asks for a d3, you just halve the result. Finally, the last thing you'll need is an army and also rules. For rules, you can use the Warhammer 40k app or look online for the rules there. Now we're going to go into the main part, the movement phase. For this, look at the model's movement stat and also look at around them and measure the distance that they can move. One thing to bear in mind is you don't have to go all the way with them, and make sure you're within 2 inches of another model, otherwise it is destroyed. Once you've done that, you have the choice. You can roll a d6 and move that distance, but if you do, you can't do the next phase, shooting. The shooting phase, most people's favourite because of how action-packed it is. For this, you'll have to look at the ranged weapon part of your datasheet and look at the range that you can shoot. This is the maximum amount of distance that you can target people in. You'll also have to make sure that your model can actually see other models. If there's a building ruin in the way, then you can't shoot. Once you have a valid target, you can shoot. For example, the Kriegers can't shoot the warriors through the building, but the death marks are visible and in range. When you have a valid target, look at the number of attacks your weapon has. The Kriegers are using their las guns, which have 1 attack each and there's 7 of them. I'd roll 7, but in a normal game I'd roll all their weapons that they have on them currently. For rolling your weapons, you look at the ballistic skill, and roll anything on that number or higher is a hit. I rolled 7 dice, I needed a 4 up and got 5 through. Now you've hit, you need to look at your weapon strength and the enemy's toughness. This part can be a bit complicated, so I'm going to put up a sheet for you to understand better. But the main way this works, for example, my Kriegers have strength 3 on their las guns, and the model they're shooting has toughness 4. So you need to roll a 5 up. Luckily I got 2 through. Now the other person rolls for saving. They roll the same amount of wounds that you got through, and they look at their armor save stat. Every single pass they get stops 1 of your damages. But if your weapon has AP, it can make this test more difficult by that number. For example, the death marks would roll 2 dice and they need a 3 up. The weapon has no AP and doesn't change. They manage to get 1 save through. Finally, look at the wounds of the model and the damage of the gun. This is how much damage the weapon does, and if it's enough to kill the model, remove it from the game. If not, put something next to it to mark the current health of the model. Because of this, 1 model died. Another example is I want to shoot the grenade launcher. To do this, I select it, and the target I chose is the Knoptech Doomstalker. To hit, I need to roll a 4. I do, with my strength being 9 and the enemy's toughness being 8, I need a 3 up, which I passed. Now the save. Normally it'd need a 3 up, but because of the AP, it needs a 4 up. Which they fail. The weapon has D3 damage, so I rolled a 4, which does 2 damage towards it. Now we're on the charge phase. For this, roll 2 dice and add the results together. This is how far you can move. Once you're within an inch, you can start the fight phase. For example, Death Riders roll a 7 and got into combat. The fight phase is very similar to the shooting phase. The main difference that you need to remember is the person that charges goes first. In later phases, the defender goes first, until someone wins or until you leave combat. To leave combat, you move away in the movement phase, but you cannot shoot. So to go over what you can do is the Death Riders, who are using their sabres, which have 3 attacks each, and I need a 3 up. Once I roll this, they have strength 4 and the targets have toughness 4. So I need to roll 4 up. Now the warriors rolled a save, normally they need a 4 up, but because of the sabres having a 2 up AP, they need a 6 up save. And as well with combat, you've only used one of the weapons you have. After you've done all these phases, it's the other player's turn, and then you alternate between the two of you until you both played 5 turns. Thank you for watching this video. For any more advice, I'd recommend going to your local Warhammer shop and asking them for help. I hope you like this video and watch future videos if you can.